Hi everyone, I've been getting a lot of requests to make wall sweeps for wainscoting. So I'm going to just go ahead and demonstrate this in video so that's a little bit easier for you guys to learn. Now before you start, what you want to do is you want to insert all of your profiles into Revit, and you do that by going into Insert, Load Family. You're going to end up in this US Imperial library. You want to scroll down to Profiles, Finished Carpentry, and go ahead and select everything. Now this requires you to hold down your shift button. Go ahead and select that, and what's going to do is it's actually going to create a library for your profiles in the background, and it's now loaded into Revit. You're not going to see it at this point in time, but a little bit later we're going to work on the profiles. Now I'm going to introduce a new tool called Wall Sweeps. What this does is that it actually creates an extruded path along the walls, and it's a little bit more user intuitive, and you can actually create vertical and horizontal wall sweeps automatically with this command. Okay, so go ahead and select the command. Now for my purposes, I've actually created a series of wall sweeps that's ready to go. Now for your purposes, you're gonna have to create these from brand new, so I'll actually show you how to create a new one. So as an example, what I'll do is I'll load one of these wainscoting wall sweeps family, and I'll just actually put this somewhere on my wall. Okay, now you do, after you put this on your wall, you do have to hit escape for it to show. So basically this is what it is. It's basically a profile, and once it's stuck on the wall, you can move this thing up and down. Okay, now just to kind of show you how flexible this is, I'm just going to go ahead and create another wall sweep, but instead of it being horizontal, now I'm going to use the vertical wall sweep, and now you can start to create these vertical wall sweeps. Okay, again, you have to hit escape right after you insert it so that it pops up. Now you're beginning to see the possibilities of what this can create. Okay, now these are not the actual profiles I'm looking for, because these are, I think these are just bases. So what you want to do is you could click on one of these, go to Edit Type, duplicate this. Okay, in this case, I'll just call it EL. I like to start types with my initials under families, and I'll call it Wainscot 1. Hit OK. Now under these profiles, what you want to do now is you can go ahead and select one of these profiles that you can use. Okay. Now I know for wainscoting, you're going to select not the base, you're going to select casing profiles. Okay, so I actually just skipped over that. So casing profiles. Now you could do this trial and error. You can load it one at a time and kind of just see what they look like. Then maybe that's the best way to do it. So I'll just go ahead and select that. So that's actually a casing profile. I'm going to go ahead and select the second one and hit apply. You see how this changed. I'll select casing profile number 3, or actually number 2, but it's the second one in number 2 series. You see how that got a little bit bigger? And now I'm going to select another casing profile, maybe the biggest one, 5.5. Okay, so maybe my horizontal ones, I want to make them a little bit smaller. So I'm just going to go ahead and select a smaller one. Okay, and I'll hit OK. So that's my horizontal element. Now for the vertical one, the one that I just put in randomly, I'm going to edit the type. I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm calling it EO Wainscot 2. Okay, maybe I'll call it vertical just to make it a little bit different. So same procedure. Go ahead and select your casing profile. I've selected something that is the same, or it looks the same. Actually, you know what? I take it back. It's a little bit smaller. So now I have a vertical component that's slightly more slender and a horizontal one that's a little bit fatter. Okay, so when you do this, it's very important to keep a module. So what you want to do is you want to click on this and make this let's say 3 foot, okay. And now for the next module, you want to make sure that the module is going, the vertical module going horizontally is, let's say 2'6". Okay, so what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll copy this over, and I'll make it 2'6". I'll actually make it multiple so I can copy it multiple times. So 2'6", 2'6", and 2'6", and I can actually just type this in manually. I'll type 2'6". Okay. So now I have sort of like a chair rail at 3 foot, and then I have these vertical wainscoting that goes all the way up to about 2'6". Now, what I want to do now is I want to just like create a base at the bottom. So how do you do that? Same thing, wall sweep. For my purposes, I actually create a base, but for your purposes, you're going to actually just create a new one for yourself. Now, keep in mind that right now, I'm set at the vertical placement configuration. You want to switch that to horizontal. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on that. Again, hit escape to actually show it. So now I actually have a base that's attached to the bottom. Now you notice that these things actually intersect. Now just for the base, if you actually want to create another different type, go ahead and duplicate it. So I'm going to switch a different base type. Let's call that base 2. Again, same way of selecting. Go ahead and select a different base here, and it's actually going to switch it to a different base. Okay. Now I kind of don't like that base, so I'm actually going to go ahead and switch it back to, not sure what I had before, but maybe that. Okay. You notice that the vertical wainscoting elements actually die into the base. What you want to do is you want to drag it up and kind of like get it so that it's sort of within reason that it looks decent. Now you notice that for all of these, you kind of have to do it. So what I should have done is I should have done one and then copied it over instead of doing all of these. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and delete that. I'm actually going to do like an array copy. I'm going to do maybe like 4 of these, and then I'm going to copy it over 2'6". Right, so what it'll do is it will just do an array, and maybe I want to do more than 6. Maybe let me do more than 4. Let me do 6. So it arrays it over 6 times. Okay. Okay. That's array copy. Don't worry, you could copy it one at a time. If you don't know how to do array copy, don't worry about it. Just copy it over one at a time. Okay, so the same thing with the top. If you want to do a crown molding, go ahead and go to wall sweep. In this case, I already created a crown, but in your case, you could just put anything there. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't have to be a crown. As long as it's actually physically there in the space, it's fine. You could always change it afterwards. Again, once it's placed, hit escape to show it. Click on that. This is completely movable. You can move it up and down. And on top of that, you can then go ahead and select the crown that you want. So if you don't like that crown, use another crown. Okay, so that's a smaller crown. Might not look that great, so I'm just going to go with a bigger crown. Okay. Once again, you notice that at the top, you actually would have to adjust the top as well. Oops. Oh, because you know why? Because since this is an array, I have to edit one of them first, and it will actually you'll actually update all of them since I did it as an array. So actually, I take it back. Maybe the array is better because you could actually do one, and anything that you make changes to the one, it updates it for everything. Okay. So now that you have the vertical and horizontal elements that you need, what about the middle piece here? There's usually some kind of a decorative quarter piece, and you do that by going into one of the elevations. In this case, I know this is the north elevation because I clicked on it earlier. For you, you actually have to probably cut a section if it's a wall inside your building already, and then just get the right elevation. Now, the next really, really important step is and focus, okay? In order to be able to draw on this wall, to do a profile sweep, you need to do it like this. And what I mean by profile sweep is you first actually have to draw model lines on this wall. Now, in order to be able to draw on this wall, you actually have to set the drawing plane. How do you do that? You see this work plane over here, and this whole thing with the set work plane interface. You have to click on that, and then click on pick a plane, hit OK. Now the plane that you're working with is the actual wall itself. You see if I highlight the wall, you see how I'm highlighting the wall? You click on that, it's going to now set that as a working plane. Now I was working on something on this earlier with a student. I forgot that you actually had to set the working plane. So this is actually how you set the working plane. Click on set plane, pick a plane, and set that wall. Now you will draw everything basically on that specific plane. So what I'll do is this. I will actually click on model lines. So go here, click on model lines. I'm going to pre-draw my sweep lines. So what I'll do is I'm just going to fudge it. Okay. I'm just going to do something that looks like that. And then I'll just like fudge it again. I'll do something that looks like that. Okay. Now for your purposes, you can obviously modify this so that this is, perfect for you. So I'll just go in and I'll modify this a little bit. So those are going to be the sweep planes. Now when I go into 3D, you see how I actually drew those lines on that wall. Okay. So now you're actually going to create profiles and sweep those profiles along the sweep lines that I just created. Okay, so how do you actually create these profiles? You go to Component, Model in Place, Casework. So I showed this in class earlier today. And I'll just call this Wainscot quarter piece. Don't worry, you could just hit OK. You could call it anything you want. Now, I'm now in the sweep interface. I'm going to click on the sweep command. I'm going to click on pick a path instead of sketching a path. The reason I'm picking a path is because I already pre-drew these model lines. Now, when you pick a path, you notice that it's actually going to show you the section, a little section where the path is going to get extruded from. Okay, so click OK. Now, on the select profile, you don't need to load profile because you already loaded all the profiles in. So all you have to do is now select. In this case, for that particular wainscoting piece, you want to do a quarter round, 1/2 inch. So click that, select the profile. When you zoom in, you see that there's this quarter round piece. That's exactly what I want. I'm going to hit OK. It's going to now create a little piece that looks like that. Okay. Okay. So maybe this is as much wainscoting decor as you need. Now I'm going to create the bottom piece, and I'll repeat the process again. Again, go to Architecture, Component, Model in Place, Casework, hit OK, and just call it anything. You're now going to execute the sweep command. Pick a path. I'm just going to pick these 4 lines that I drew already. Hit OK. Select the profile. Go to the quarter piece. Quarter round piece. Select that. Hit OK. It's going to sweep along the plane. And hit OK. Okay, so now you have that. And what you want to do is you want to now array this over. So I'm going to select just that quarter piece. I'm going to hold down Control, select that, and I'm going to hit the array button here, array. And you know what? I'm going to actually go to this when I do the array. Might be a little bit easier. Just going to hit the array command. Okay, I don't know what that meant, but so let's do 6 pieces. And let's go from here. And I know that I'm doing 2'6" because I already mentioned before that I'm using 2'6" as my module. So when you do that, ta-da, look at that. You got six of these. You could click on 5 to make 5. You could click on 4 to make 4. You can click on 6 to make 6. Okay, so this is great. I now have wainscoted walls. And I'm going to go ahead and just do a quick rendering of that just to see what that looks like. I'm going to use the sun. Okay, so that's what that looks like detail-wise. Now you can obviously select the materials for these. So let me just show you how to do that. When you actually select on one of these pieces, when you go to, actually, because this is an array type, because I use array, you have to edit the group. Click on this, edit the type. Under here, you see where it says by category, the materials. Click on those 3 dots. You could go ahead and then select whatever material you want. In this case, maybe I'll just select something like oak flooring. Hit apply, hit OK. Under this edit group, click finish. And then let me do a little realistic render. You see how I actually changed that to wood? So that's actually how you do it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and maybe change this one, edit the type. Under the category, click on those 3 dots. I'll change it to wood again. Hit apply, and you see that that's now going to come out as wood. Okay, so that's it for now. Happy wainscoting. You should be able to do this whole entire wall in like 20 minutes if you're really good at it. Okay, thank you.